The dusk hung low over Jetavana, a coppery hush, settling between trees and wind. Devadatta knelt before the Buddha, his breath shallow, his devotion cracking beneath the weight of envy. He had long followed this serene teacher, but tonight the air trembled with a secret. He no longer sought enlightenment, but acknowledgement. The Buddha's eyes, deep and unblinking, met his with infinite calm, and then, without a word, he smiled, softly, as if to bless a wound not yet visible. Devadatta's heart flinched. He felt seen, stripped bare, and accused by kindness itself. "Master," he said, his voice trembling like a candle in wind, "what do you see in me that makes you smile so?" The Buddha did not answer. His silence was a mirror, and within it, Devadatta glimpsed both love and his own undoing. The forest swayed. A single leaf fell between them, carrying the weight of what was about to begin. Night folds over Jetavana like a closing eyelid. Devadatta walks the outer path alone, his mind echoing the Buddha's silence. Each step crunches with doubt. "He smiled at me," he whispers to himself, "as if I were already lost." The forest hums with hidden creatures, and every rustle feels like a voice accusing him. He recalls the years of service, the long meditations, the praise he craved but never received. The Buddha's smile becomes a wound he cannot touch. Above, the moon watches like an eye that will not blink. He kneels before the river, sees his reflection ripple and split, two faces staring back, devotee and destroyer. The smile he saw now haunts him as both prophecy and challenge. Somewhere within, a voice asks, "Can you bear to be unseen?" Ananda cannot sleep. The Buddha's smile replays in his thoughts like a riddle without answer. He approaches the meditation hall, where the teacher sits motionless beneath a single oil lamp. "Lord," he whispers, Devadatta's heart burns. "Should we not speak to him?" The Buddha's voice, low and steady, replies, "When fire burns, we do not strike it. We wait until it sees its own ash." Ananda bows, uncertain whether to grieve or admire such detachment. In the quiet, even the insects seem to still. The Buddha closes his eyes once more, the faintest trace of that same smile lingering. It is not a gesture of triumph, but of sorrow, understood too deeply to resist. Dawn breaks pale over the monastery roofs. Devadatta stands before his sleeping disciples, a silent storm behind calm eyes. His hands tremble as he ties his robe. "Today," he murmurs, "I begin my own path." He looks toward the horizon where the Buddha often walks at sunrise, the place where he once knelt as a faithful student. A bird calls from the banyan branches, its song breaking the quiet like confession. Devadatta lifts his chin, forcing steadiness into his breath. The Buddha's smile still lingers in his mind, but now it feels like a challenge he must answer with rebellion. As the sun rises, the Buddha walks through the grove in silence. Each step leaves no mark upon the dust. Birds gather along the path as if guided by invisible grace. Subhuti joins him, hands folded. "Master," he says softly, "the air feels heavy." Devadatta is restless. The Buddha stops beneath a banyan tree and looks toward the east, where a faint echo of footsteps fades. "Let him walk," he replies. Even storms move toward the sea. His gaze softens again, and for the third time that enigmatic smile appears, gentle as dawn, ancient as truth. The courtyard hums with whispers. Devadatta gathers his followers beneath the great Bodhi tree, his voice low, magnetic, trembling with restrained fire. "The path grows weak," he says. "The Buddha teaches mercy when the world needs strength. Shall we not build a purer Sangha?" The monks, young and uncertain, listen as morning light glints off his shaven head. Somewhere beyond the walls, the Buddha teaches in silence, unaware, or perhaps fully aware of what brews beneath his name. The wind moves between them, like a thin blade, separating devotion from pride. As Devadatta's words deepen, A strange stillness fills the air, as though compassion itself holds its breath. Inside the meditation hall, Ananda listens from afar, his heart heavy. "Master," he says later, "Devadatta speaks against you. He wishes to lead his own order." The Buddha's hands rest gently upon his knees, his breathing unbroken. "Every seed," he replies, "seeks its own soil. Do not curse the seed for growing." Ananda bows, troubled, but his soil is shadowed. The Buddha opens his eyes, luminous and calm. "Then let the shadow teach him light." Outside, thunder murmurs on the horizon, though no storm has yet formed. Devadatta's teachings spread swiftly. His words, sharp as arrows, promise liberation through discipline and severity. The world is too soft. He declares to his disciples beneath the monsoon sky, "We will walk barefoot through thorn and stone until the body yields to will." Rain begins to fall, drenching his robe, washing dust from his face, but not from his heart. Among his listeners, doubt flickers. Some eyes glimmer with devotion, others with fear. One young monk whispers, "But the Buddha teaches gentleness." Devadatta's stare cuts through him. "Gentleness," he answers, "is for the weak." Lightning splits the horizon, revealing his smile, cold, victorious, lonely. Ananda watches from a hilltop as Devadatta's band marches away from Jetavana. The Buddha stands beside him, hands folded, gaze soft and distant. "He was your cousin." "Does this not wound you?" The Buddha's reply comes like a sigh through leaves. The wound and the wounding are both illusions. Only compassion remains real. Below them, Devadatta's group disappears into the mist, their chants echoing faintly, filled with both zeal and sorrow. The Buddha's expression remains serene, yet the faint shimmer in his eyes reveals a grief too deep for tears. Night again. The monastery feels emptier, echoes where laughter once lived. Subhuti approaches the Buddha as oil lamps flicker low. "Master," he says. The others ask, "Should we stop him?" The Buddha closes his eyes. "Stop him," he repeats softly. "You cannot stop a wave from reaching shore." A pause, heavy and tender. "When it breaks, the sea will remember it." Subhuti bows, his old hands trembling slightly. Outside, wind brushes through the trees. The moon rises pale and hollow. The Buddha looks toward its silver light and smiles once more. Compassion shaped like inevitability. The forest sleeps beneath heavy clouds. Devadatta sits by a dying fire, his disciples gathered in uneasy silence. His once bright words now drip with venom. He claims peace, yet rules with silence, he says bitterly. "I will prove his stillness hollow." His gaze hardens as he speaks of a plan. A rolling boulder on the Buddha's path, a single strike to end the illusion of divinity. No one breathes. The fire crackles like a heartbeat of fear. One young monk rises to speak, then falters beneath Devadatta's stare. The Buddha's smile, Devadatta mutters, "I will wipe it from his face." But even as he says it, that smile flickers again within his memory. Gentle, unbroken, unkillable. Morning rises cold and gray. The Buddha walks a narrow mountain path, his steps silent, his presence calm against the wind's fury. Ananda follows at a respectful distance, unaware that above them, Devadatta waits with the boulder poised. The air trembles, charged with unseen karma. Devadatta's hands press against the rock. Sweat beads, heart hammering. He hesitates. The Buddha pauses below, looking up as if sensing the weight above him. Their eyes do not meet, yet something passes between them, a thread of ancient understanding. Then Devadatta releases. The boulder crashes down, splintering trees, shaking earth. Dust rises like smoke. When it clears, the Buddha stands unharmed, a sliver of stone grazing his foot, blood bright as dawn, and that same serene smile upon his lips. The disciples rush forward, their cries echoing through the ravine. Ananda kneels, trembling, as he tends to the Buddha's wounded foot. "Master, he tried to kill you." The Buddha's voice, faint yet steady, replies, "Then may he find peace, for violence consumes the hand that wields it." His words drift like incense through the chaos. Ananda looks up, tears cutting lines through the dust on his face. "Why do you still smile?" he asks. The Buddha's gaze turns toward the horizon. "Because compassion cannot bleed." The wind carries those words toward the cliffs, where Devadatta still stands unseen, hearing them as if spoken directly into his shame. That night, rain falls in slow, merciless rhythm. Devadatta sits alone, drenched, unable to escape the echo of his failure. In his mind, the Buddha's blood mingles with that unwavering smile, forming an image he cannot bear. He strikes a stone with his fist again and again, until his knuckles split. "Why does he not curse me?" he cries into the storm. "Why does he still smile?" The thunder answers in silence. Beneath the roar of rain, the forest seems to whisper, "Because he sees what you do not." Devadatta lowers his head. For the first time, fear enters him, not of punishment, but of understanding. At dawn, the Buddha returns to Jetavana, limping slightly, yet radiant in silence. The monks gather, awaiting his command, vengeance burning in their hearts. He raises his hand. "Do not seek retribution," he says softly, "for anger multiplied is only sorrow reborn." His smile glows faintly, like sunrise after storm. When one betrays, he offers you a mirror. See yourself in it, and forgive both reflections. The monks bow, tears slipping from some, defiance from others. The Buddha steps beyond them into the morning light, each movement slow, deliberate, filled with grace. Somewhere far away, Devadatta watches from the forest edge, the Buddha's smile still visible even from a distance, shining through mist like truth that refuses to fade. Moonlight spills over Jetavana like liquid mercy. Inside the quiet chamber, Ananda kneels before the Buddha. "Master," he whispers, "why do you not condemn him?" The Buddha's eyes remain closed, his breath deep and steady. "Because to condemn is to forget that he suffers," he replies. "And suffering is only another form of seeking." The candle flickers between them, bending shadows into shapes that resemble the faces of those who have left. "He seeks me still," the Buddha adds, a trace of sorrow softening his lips, even through hatred. Ananda bows his head, the silence between them rich with compassion. Outside, the night wind sighs, a sound like forgiveness, waiting to be born. In the forest, Devadatta wanders restless among shadows. His robe torn, his breath uneven, he speaks to himself as though answering invisible questions. "He smiles at me still," he mutters, "even when I fail, even when I fall." The forest gives no answer. He stumbles upon a pool of water and gazes into it. The reflection wavers, his face split by ripples. For an instant it seems not his own, but the Buddha's calm visage staring back. Panic flares. He throws a stone, shattering the image, yet the ripples form the shape of a smile before fading. "Why won't it leave me?" he cries. The wind whispers through bamboo, repeating his words until they dissolve into stillness. The next morning, Subhuti approaches the Buddha in the monastery garden. "Master," he says softly, "they say Devadatta suffers greatly. Should we help him?" The Buddha tends to a wounded bird, binding its wing with a strip of cloth. "Help him?" he murmurs, eyes gentle. He is already being helped. Subhuti frowns. By whom? The Buddha looks toward the horizon. By his own pain. It is the mirror through which he must finally see himself. The bird flutters weakly, then stills. When one sees that the enemy is only one's reflection, he continues, peace returns by itself. The sun glows faintly behind drifting clouds, painting the scene in quiet gold. Devadatta sits at the edge of a clearing, alone with the ache of his body and the louder ache of remorse. His thoughts circle endlessly. Pride, envy, failure, and the smile that endures them all. He remembers the Buddha's teachings, once dismissed as weakness, now returning like forgotten prayers. The forest seems to breathe with him, each exhale heavy with regret. He closes his eyes and whispers, Master, forgive me, though no one is there to hear. Yet as he speaks, a breeze stirs through the trees, cool and tender, carrying the scent of sandalwood. The same scent that lingers in the Buddha's robes. Devadatta's shoulders shake, his tears lost to the soil that once bore his arrogance. That night, the Buddha walks through the monastery courtyard, the moon tracing silver upon his robe. He pauses by the Bodhi tree, where Devadatta once stood. When the heart is struck, he says softly to Ananda beside him, compassion reveals its strength. The wind carries the scent of distant rain. The Buddha smiles not for victory, but for understanding. He will return, he adds, not to serve me, but to see himself. Ananda listens, humbled by the weight of that faith. In the distance, a faint echo rises from the forest, a single voice chanting the Buddha's name. The teacher closes his eyes, and the smile deepens, luminous, eternal. The forest has grown quiet, stripped of the chants that once filled it. Devadatta sits among the ashes of abandoned fires, his disciples long gone. His strength wanes, his pride flickers like dying embers. Where are they now? He murmurs, gazing at the cold ashes in his hands. Hunger gnaws at him. But it is not of the body. It is the emptiness of a heart that has spent itself in defiance. In the distance he hears the faint murmur of the Sangha's morning bells. The sound pierces him, gentle and unbearable. He lowers his head. I thought I could be greater than him, he whispers, but all I've become is smaller than my own shadow. The wind answers with silence. At Jetavana, Ananda watches the Buddha prepare a bowl of rice and milk. For whom, master? He asks. The Buddha's expression softens. For Devadatta. Ananda hesitates. He turned against you. The Buddha lifts the bowl with both hands, as though holding a newborn life. Then he is most in need. He instructs a novice to carry the meal into the forest, to the place where Devadatta hides. When you feed another, the Buddha says, you remind them of their humanity, even when they have forgotten it themselves. The novice departs, his footsteps fading into the trees. The Buddha remains still, eyes closed in silent prayer, not for protection, but for understanding to bloom where hatred once grew. Devadatta lies weak beneath the banyan tree when the novice arrives. My master sends you food, the boy says gently. Devadatta's eyes narrow, suspicion mingling with shame. He pities me. The novice shakes his head. He remembers you. The words strike deeper than hunger ever could. Devadatta reaches for the bowl, hands trembling. The warmth seeps into his palms as if it carries more than nourishment, an unseen forgiveness. He eats slowly, each grain dissolving the bitterness within. Tears slip down his cheeks. The forest seems to breathe with him once more. He still smiles, doesn't he? Devadatta asks. The novice nods, and for the first time Devadatta smiles too. Faintly, brokenly, beautifully. Back at Jetavana, the Buddha sits with Subhuti and Ananda beneath the afternoon sun. The younger monks whisper of Devadatta's collapse, some with relief, others with quiet grief. He has fallen, Subhuti says softly. No, the Buddha replies. eyes distant yet kind. He is bowing. The words ripple through the gathered disciples, confusing and comforting all at once. When a man falls to the ground in sorrow, the Buddha continues. The earth itself becomes his teacher. The garden fills with birdsong. A cool wind stirs the robes of the monks. In that wind, the Buddha hears something. Perhaps the sound of Devadatta's heart breaking open into light. Dusk returns. In the forest clearing, Devadatta watches the horizon glow with the faint shimmer of Jetavana's distant lanterns. I once wanted to destroy that light, he whispers. Now I wish only to walk toward it. He rises slowly, leaning on a staff, body frail, but heart newly tender. The smile he once despised now guides him like a star. As he begins his journey back, the path beneath his feet feels both endless and forgiving. Each step erases a shadow from his soul. Somewhere far ahead, the Buddha looks up from his meditation and smiles again, as though feeling the stir of redemption carried through the wind. The forest is veiled in pale morning mist. Devadatta walks slowly along the narrow path leading toward Jetavana, his steps uneven but resolute. Birds call faintly, as though greeting a traveler long lost. Each breath he takes carries the scent of the monastery's gardens, the place of his youth, his ambition, and his fall. His body trembles, yet his mind feels strangely clear. He murmurs, "Master, if I can only see your face once more." The memory of that smile returns, no longer burning but warm and luminous. The mist thickens around him, but he keeps walking. Each step seems to dissolve the last remnant of pride. Above the fog, the faint outline of Jetavana's roof gleams like forgiveness itself. At Jetavana, the Buddha sits beneath the Bodhi tree, surrounded by quiet disciples. Ananda senses something in the air, a subtle trembling, as if the wind itself carries a soul nearing home. "Master," he says softly, "I feel his presence." The Buddha nods. He comes not in triumph, but in truth. His voice is calm, yet beneath it flows a deep undercurrent of compassion that seems to fill the entire grove. When hatred exhausts itself, he continues, what remains is only love, waiting to be seen. A gentle smile rises upon his face, radiant and eternal. Even the birds grow still, as if listening to the silence within the words. Devadatta's journey weakens him. He stumbles along the path, the earth trembling beneath his bare feet. The sky darkens. Thunder murmurs distantly. He falls to his knees, clutching his chest, and gazes upward. "Not yet," he whispers. "Let me see him once more." The world sways, and he sees before him a vision. Jetavana bathed in light, the Buddha's figure shining at its heart. "Why do you smile still?" he cries, his voice breaks. The vision answers not in words, but in silence. A silence that feels like home. Rain begins to fall, soft and cool, washing the dust from his face. He bows to the earth, forehead pressed to the soil. "I understand now," he whispers. The Buddha opens his eyes, sensing the tremor in the wind. He bows, he says quietly. The disciples look to him in confusion. "Who, Master?" asks Subhuti, the one who thought he had fallen. The Buddha rises slowly, every motion deliberate, graceful. He gazes toward the forest, palms joined, and begins to chant softly. The sound, neither sorrowful nor joyous, a vibration of release. Around him, the leaves quiver as if bowing in return. "All beings find the path," he says, "even those who lose themselves to find it." His eyes close once more, and his smile widens, a bridge between one breath ending and another beginning. Devadatta collapses at the edge of the forest path. His final breath comes gently, not as defeat but as release. The earth beneath him is cool, the rain easing into mist. For a moment he sees not the world but a smile, soft, radiant. endless. The Buddha's face appears in his fading vision, eyes full of compassion, not reproach. The fear that bound his life dissolves like mist before dawn. He whispers, "So that was it, all along." His lips curve into a faint smile that mirrors the Buddha's, and then all sound fades. At that same moment, at Jetavana, the Buddha bows his head, as though greeting an old friend at last. Morning unfurls over Jetavana like silk soaked in gold. The air is still, yet charged with unseen presence. The Buddha sits beneath the Bodhi tree, his eyes half closed, face serene. Ananda approaches, carrying news that trembles in his hands. "Master," he whispers, "Devadatta has passed." The Buddha's breath remains calm, but a single tear glistens at the edge of his eyelid. "The fire has returned to light," he says softly. "He is free." Around them, the disciples lower their heads, torn between awe and grief. The Buddha's tear falls silently upon the dust, disappearing as though absorbed by the earth itself. "His journey was long," he adds, "but none are lost forever." Later that day, the disciples gather in the courtyard, their robes rippling like saffron waves. Some speak of justice, others of destiny, yet all fall silent as the Buddha rises. "He was not my enemy," he says, voice carrying like the wind through hollow bamboo. "He was my mirror." The monks exchange uncertain glances. "Through him, you saw the cost of pride. Through me, he saw the truth of forgiveness. Together we revealed what cannot be taught by words." The Buddha's eyes sweep across the assembly, kind, unwavering, filled with endless compassion. "Remember this. The heart that betrays you is the same heart that can awaken you." As evening descends, Ananda sits beside the Buddha near the lotus pond. "Master," he asks, "when Devadatta betrayed you, why did you smile?" The Buddha's reflection glows in the water, merging with the ripples of fading sunlight. "Because," he replies, "betrayal reveals the depth of love. When one strikes you, it is only the hand of ignorance seeking to touch wisdom." He dips his fingers into the pond, stirring circles that expand endlessly outward. "Every wound," he continues, "is a door. Step through it, and you find compassion waiting." The pond stills. Ananda lowers his gaze, tears soft on his cheeks, as the last light melts into the water like forgiveness itself. Night blankets Jetavana. The disciples gather around a small fire, speaking quietly of all that has passed. Subhuti gazes at the stars. "We have seen the face of truth," he murmurs. Ananda nods, and it smiled. The Buddha watches them from a distance, his face radiant in the starlight. He listens, not to words, but to the harmony that has returned among them. The flames dance, reflecting in their eyes like tiny suns. For the first time since Devadatta's rebellion, laughter drifts softly through the air, gentle, unforced, human. The Buddha closes his eyes and breathes in the sound. "The world mends itself," he whispers, "when the heart forgives." At dawn, the Buddha walks alone through the mist-laden grove. Each step stirs dew from the grass, each breath a hymn to impermanence. He pauses beneath the same banyan tree where Devadatta once plotted his betrayal. The air there feels changed, lighter, emptied of malice. The Buddha looks upward. Sunlight spills through the branches, illuminating his face in quiet radiance. "In every betrayal," he says softly, "there is the seed of awakening. When the heart breaks, it breaks open. A faint breeze stirs, carrying petals through the light." The Buddha smiles one last time, tender, knowing, infinite. And as the screen fades to white, his voice lingers. All is forgiven. All is one.